I'm diving into a surprise drop that has fans buzzing. A live-action Yakuza series hitting hot on the heels of Amazon's divisive adaptation. But this time, the reaction isn't a shrug, it's a wave of enthusiasm. Here's the freshest take, built from the ground up, with my personal read on what makes this new take land where the others stumbled. This feels like a rare moment in adaptation culture. A property with a built-in, fiercely loyal fanbase gets a version that actually leans into what makes the world feel alive, rather than trying to rewrite the rules to fit a streaming quota. Personally, I think the big swing here is honoring the source's tonal DNA, tongue-in-cheek humor, over-the-top energy, and the gritty, neon-soaked moral gray area, while dialing in a tighter, more character-focused core. What makes this really interesting is how quickly communities can pivot from skepticism to advocacy when a project respects the material's vibe instead of its box checks. First idea: the core difference in approach. The new live-action series leans into established Yakuza flavor, Kamurocho's neon labyrinth, brawler-forward pace, and a sense of rambunctious camaraderie among rivals, without becoming a faithful, scene-by-scene retelling. In my opinion, that matters because it signals the creators are listening to what fans actually love: the swagger, the humor, the quirks of the dialogue and pacing. A detail I find fascinating is how the show uses modest production values not as a limitation, but as a feature, letting character-driven beats and playful meta-jokes carry weight. What this suggests is a broader trend. When fans crave authenticity over blockbuster polish, you win by leaning into the imperfect charm that makes a world feel lived in. Second idea: character dynamics as the engine. Kiryu's release from prison and his clashes with Majima and Nishikiyama aren't just plot pivots. They're opportunities to explore loyalty, debt, and the price of staying true to one another in a world that keeps moving the goalposts. What many people don't realize is that the real drama in Yakuza isn't always the crime, it's the ethics of those bonds under pressure. From my perspective, the series uses those relationships to spin a larger meditation. When institutions crumble or corrupt systems press in, personal codes become the real currency. A detail I find fascinating is how side characters' loyalties recalibrate as old alliances crack, which quietly mirrors real-life social shifts in any tight-knit community. Third idea: tone and humor as a strategic choice. The show reportedly preserves the series' tongue-in-cheek humor and even pokes fun at its own dialogue boxes. If you take a step back and think about it, humor becomes the glue that makes violence, betrayal, and risk feel survivable. It's not just a gag, it's a storytelling lifeline that invites viewers to lean in rather than recoil. What this really suggests is a broader move toward playful realism in live-action adaptations. You can stage gritty conflict while still making room for absurdity and self-awareness, which keeps the audience emotionally invested and emotionally safe. Deeper insight: why this matters for IP restoration and fan communities. The internet loves to decide who wins, the faithful adaptation or the flashy riot that strays from the source. Here, the reception suggests a calibrated middle path can outperform both extremes. The implication is clear: studios can win loyalty by preserving core vibes, character, humor, rhythm, while giving fans something new to discuss and defend. A larger trend at play is the rise of creator-led interpretations that honor the mythos, but aren't slaves to it, creating a living canon that evolves with its community. Closing thought: the art of adapting beloved universes is less about transplanting a plot and more about transplanting a mood. This Yakuza series appears to be proving that you can honor the texture of a franchise and still surprise people with fresh storytelling choices. If this momentum holds, we might see a shift in how big-budget adaptations are judged, not by how slavishly they imitate, but by how memorably they capture the heartbeat. So I'm curious, which element did you feel mattered most, the humor, the bonds, or the mood? And do you think this approach scales to other beloved JRPG or anime properties? If you'd like, I can break down specific episodes as they drop and map out exactly which scenes land and why. Would you prefer a structured episode-by-episode analysis, or a thematic overview that ties all the new series choices back to the broader Yakuza mythos?